This episode is brought to you by Elric's Hobbies. Check out elricshobbies.com and take your hobby to that next level.
Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
The enemy was without number, an ocean without end. No two figures in their uneven ranks were exactly alike, each one seemingly born into its own breed, conjured from a unique nightmare. The alien air carried the sounds of crashing blades and waves of searing heat, and above it all brought the creature's stench, too strong for even respirator masks at the custodian's own helmet filters. Sagittarius held his ground against this rank tide. Never had he felt farther from the Emperor's light. One thought played out through his mind again and again. We're going to lose the city.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Fore, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, how's it going?
Yo, what's happening, everybody?
And Taro Tassadar.
So I love it when Robbie B gives us this intro because it gives me something specifically to talk about because I love Robbie B's smooth jab voice, but Robbie B has never sounded so high. Obviously, he doesn't smoke because he can't, but never sounds so high until, how's everybody doing tonight?
Happy accidents.
That's right.
It's awesome because it basically lets us avoid an awkward silence right at the beginning of the show and then get right into talking about things.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about, what did you just read, Mike?
That was from The Master of Mankind by Aaron
I knew it was
Dembski.
Custodies.
Yeah, it turns out I like it so far. I'm not as far as the part that I read. I skipped forward to read that. But it is well written, as everything by Aaron Dembski. And it covers some lore that we really haven't been exposed to. It's the Custodes and Sisters of Silence and war in the Webway. And it turns out Magnus really jacked things up when he tried to go warn the Emperor. And so you get to see that scene. You know how in 1,000 Suns, we get to see that scene from Magnus's point of view, where he's like, oh man, Horus has turned traitor. I need to go warn the Emperor. And he kind of takes his astral form and travels through the warp / webway and comes out, and the Emperor is like, yeah, you just jacked up some stuff like really badly. We get to see that from the other point of view, from those who are in the Imperial Palace when Magnus breaks through to try to warn the Emperor. And we get to see just how badly he messed things up and kind of why the Emperor was like, yo, get Leman Russ to go bring me Magnus because he needs an answer for this. And then Horus, of course, is all like, hey, yeah, what the Emperor meant to say was like, go wipe out the 1,000 Suns. And Leman Russ is like, gotcha. That makes
I'm
sense.
picking up what you're putting down.
That always reminds me of the way I like to recall the heresy. When Horus was gathering all his people, like, hey, I'm thinking about this thing, things are happening. I don't know if we can trust some people. And he's talking to Angron now, right? Like, as he's trying to recruit, he's playing coy with all these people because it's all politics, right? And he's like, so I don't know how to say this, and Angron's like, betray the Emperor?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I wouldn't use those words, but I know this guy. He might be right for you. Corn? Oh, yeah, we're friends. He's like, you can just stop talking. Like, I'm in. Like, that's how that went down.
You had me at
Yeah.
So speaking of, I want to make sure before David and some others, we lose them to the podcast because we actually talk 40K and Age of Sigmar here and other hobby stuff. I wanted to take the topic a little sideways. I was on the internet this morning driving to work, and I saw a funny picture. It was posted to Spikey Bits webpage, and next thing I know, it shows a petite small burger. I would say smaller. maybe even a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, whatever the 99-cent burger.
Yeah, like a double cheeseburger or whatever.
Yeah, double cheeseburger, but not like a big double. You know, we're talking literally 99-cent burger. That's in my mind what I'm looking at. And then it's sitting nicely on top of a good size, larger burger. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That looks good. I immediately, my food mind, I don't read the words yet. You know, I'm driving and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, that's a good looking bun. Like, okay, cool. So now I read the meme or the topics. It's from Bugman's Bar. They have introduced a food challenge, a burger challenge, right? So it's you've got me at burgers. I'm interested now. Now the stoplight I'm at is red. Railroad crossing happening right now. So I was like, word, I got a second to read this. I'm looking at it. It literally says, "Come try our Bugman's challenge." This is our normal burger with an arrow pointing to the 99-cent size cheeseburger. Underneath it says, this is the Bugman's Burger Challenge. It is, in parentheses, 2 12-ounce burgers, a large fry, and that was it. And I was like, and I thought to myself, immediately, 2 12-ounce burger patties? Like, that's all you got for us? That's literally
barely over a pound.
That is the best you can muster
it's
up.
substantially over a pound for sure, but that's all pre-cook. No one's like, they're not going to serve you a 16-ounce patty to cook down at 12 ounces. Like,
no, it's a 12-ounce. It's 24 ounces of meat cooked down, and you're losing a third, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what either cheese or anything else. I'm like, even all that being said, I don't order a steak less than 22 ounces with my ribeyes and whatever else. You know, like that's just so. It immediately in my mind, I'm like, I've always wondered. We've had great guests and 40K tournament organizers from the UK and friends of the show and everybody else personal. And I've always kind of wondered, I'm like, what is the actual, we bring up questions all the time. What is difference in terrain? What is the difference of 40? The universe, everything made sense, right? When I saw this, it literally, it hit home to me. Like, just so if everybody doesn't know, I have a food truck and catering business. On my food truck and catering business, I have my own burger challenge. Okay. It is a 12-inch bun. Okay. Homemade, custom by a baker where I get all my fresh baked breads at, in Southern Pines. He makes me a custom 12-inch bun. Okay. 12-inch. That is a foot. I put 6 pounds of meat. That's hamburger, bacon, a half a head of lettuce, a whole tomato, half an onion, 24 slices of cheese, 12 Swiss, or excuse me, 12 American and 12 Swiss. Yeah. And it is a pound of bacon. You know, it is unreal. A pound of French fries.
How many is this supposed to feed?
Well, it's a burger challenge. It's a challenge.
This is an actual challenge.
That was the joke.
Yeah. Because think about this. In America versus the UK, for breakfast, a common breakfast for me might be 2 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, and some toast, right? And then I'll have 2 cups of coffee, and I feel like I ate breakfast. That's a regular breakfast, right? You're saying there's 4 eggs on this and a pound of bacon.
There's 4 eggs on this single burger. Okay.
You've defeated my standard breakfast. Okay, fine. How about lunch when I'm a little hungrier? 2 pieces of bread, an entire 16-ounce packet of lunch meat from the deli, like 3 pieces of cheese, shitload of mustard, and like jalapeno ranch. That's like my daily sandwich right there. Still,
you come to find out you need to make 6 of those.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only option that I give people truly, right, is they can get the pound of French fries either on the burger or on the side. So what ends up happening is I've got garages, the dealerships, the Dodge dealership here, so-and-so. Well, once a month or so, guys will just order it, right? And it comes in. Have you guys ever seen the big bread displays at like Sam's or Costco or Danish trays at, whatever?
So it's on its own Danish.
It's literally takes up the entire thing, right? This is a challenge.
Oh my God.
Right. This is what you do. It's $50. If you eat it all, people tell me in the beginning, hey, we're buying this. Will you cut it up into 20 slices? Or cut this up into 12 slices, wedge pizza style. Will you do this and this? Or I've got a guy, can't make it to your food truck. Will you make this for me? Will you this and this? Dude, I'll set it up. We do this whole spiel. If you can eat it all, there's no time limit. You know what I mean? Like this is a challenge. I did a lot of research before I did this challenge, before everybody's like, this is ridiculous. This is too big. No, it's 6 pounds of food. that is the number that competitive food eaters, the biggest eaters in the United States, that's the number up or down, what gives them the most problems. Fill in the blank food challenge, ice cream, mayonnaise, butter, whatever the case may be that somebody's doing a food challenge, man versus food, anything else. It is under 6 pounds, it's golden. It is the over 6 pound burrito in Vegas that stomps everybody. It's over, you know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I'm not about that life where I'm just going to make this challenge so everybody can just come up and demolish it, you know? And
no, it's got to be a challenge. And it's not like
it's a challenge.
It's not like they win $1,000. It's a challenge, bro. It's like literally.
Yeah. You get like a t-shirt, right?
Don Shula's Steakhouse down in Florida, they used to do a 52-ounce ribeye. And that was their challenge, right? So even then,
their
52-ounce ribeye, and their whole thing was this is like an $85, or a $95 ribeye, and if you didn't have to pay for it, if you can eat it at dinner, you know, that was like their challenge. That's still the 52 ounces.
50, yeah. To put that in perspective, too, that's a great point.
That's Don Shula's Steakhouse, brah. That's a fine dining establishment in America.
Absolutely. So. Ladies and gentlemen, please, from across the world that is anybody's listening to the podcast, and when I saw it about 6:45 this morning, light went off. I now understand the difference between Europeans and Americans there.
It turns out they're going to probably have a little asterisk that says, like, people from the USA not allowed.
Are not allowed. So,
because you obese bastards will just like crush this.
Overbearing eating bastards.
And we're nerds on top of it, so we're like even the bigger eaters of the United States.
So just like come in and order like 4 of them, you know, like for the 4 of us, just order 1 each and then not like play it off like we didn't know it was a challenge. Like, oh, well, you know, we'll
just take your large size. Yeah.
I regret to inform you all, I immediately disqualify myself from this challenge as I cannot eat the bread.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I want you to know Robbie B still might not be able to eat. Just eat 2 24-ounce.
I'll eat just the meat.
I've seen you not finish a medium salad, so you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Just about every time I eat anywhere, Robbie B, he orders a normal sized portion food, and half of it goes home with him.
Not me.
That's just me being frugal.
Hey, I'm with that too.
But I will caveat that I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. I think we did, but what gave me and Kenny pause is we went down at the hotel in LVO. We went down to Buca di Beppo, and we were not like quite up and up on what Buca di Beppo was. So we get in there, we order an appetizer, and then I look at the prices. I'm like, dude, Vegas keeps it real. These plates, it's like $50 a plate, man. I'm like, this is nuts. So we order like a plate of whatever.
Split one. We're like, we'll just split a large, I guess.
Yeah, we'll split a
poor
large.
People. We're balling.
And then I'm like, I'll get a side of like sausage and onion. And then it comes out, and it turns out like Buca di Beppo is probably the cheapest place you can eat in Vegas because
it's like a large salad bowl filled to the brim.
Yeah, it's like family style. So it was enough food for like 7 people, but that gave us pause. We were like, we effed up. Yeah, like if Adam hadn't shown up, we would have been screwed.
Yeah, we had like 300-pound people at the table, and it was like
to put the work in finally. But yeah, so I looked down at the comments of this, and this was early in the post. So, and of course, a great fan of the show, J Troop, is one of the first people to comment. And J Troop, for anybody who hasn't met this gargantuan bastard, he is literally the closest thing that we have on Earth here to a Space Marine, right? So it's like him and probably like 200 other people in the world. So, and 164 of them are his relatives. So like he comes from a good line, okay? He could have blown this. He's 6'5", you know, basically 1,000 pounds.
He's 460.
Yeah. AKA, you know, huge. So he laughs. His post is he laughs and says, "This is easy mode. Easy mode.
No description. No
description.
I wonder if they look at his profile just to see. They're like, oh, is this dude being flippant? And then they look and they're like, what?
Yo, for real. Like the burger, I can only imagine in his hands is like a small burger now. You know, it's the small size burger in everybody else's hand. So it was.
For those of you who have not seen J Troop, that's probably the closest you will get to meeting at a Stardy's, like personally.
Yeah.
Dude, we should do a picture of me in front of him, and then be like, this is what you start out as, and
this is before the 12 session shots, or whatever.
Yeah, he's like the mountain sized dude.
He is close. Big. Like realistically, Bjornsson is 6'9", just under 400 pounds competitively, but like most of the time 400 pounds. J Troop is 4 inches shorter and 60 pounds heavier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matter of fact, we have conversations about Bjorn and J Troop. J Troop talks about him. He's like, look, I know he could beat me in this, but I bet you I give him a run for his money on this and this. So, so we've decided off air, and it's official now. The Long War has a food challenge at Bugman's. You have to do it the American style and order 3 of their challenges. And if you complete 3 of their challenges, then we honor that as a true challenge.
I would amend it. How about this? Here's a amendment to that. If you ordered their normal sized hamburger and then opened up their large hamburger and put the little hamburger in the big hamburger and ate it, I would count that as credit.
Okay.
Is that like a Russian can we at least $16 hamburgers?
Yeah.
Let's put at least, if we're going to do that, the 30-minute timetable.
30 minutes, you can eat the burger inside the burger.
Yeah, so there's the only burger challenge that I've done was here in North Carolina, and it's not Five Guys. It's killing me right now. It'll come to me here in a second. But so they stack 6 patties, 6 half-pound patties on top of each other. With a bun, you have to drink a large drink and finish a large fry, right? So in these 6 patties, just imagine this is how it came to the table. Stacked tall like the Eiffel Tower, a steak knife, like one of those quality ones you go to like a sit-down restaurant, and the handle of the steak knife feels like the grip of a gun in your hands, like a monster knife. That thing is jammed all the way till you can't see the bottom of the hilt anymore, and it's only through like 4 patties. This is a monster of a thing, right? And you have to pick 4 toppings to put on it, right? So me and the guys who went in, was like, first off, I don't give a shit about these 6 patties. I'm about to put work in. Not only do I want this burger, I want bacon added onto it, and mayonnaise, whatever else. Well, where I messed up at is that they put this like nice, polite little topping of mayonnaise on top of the top bun. Where I didn't even taste any. Next time I should have got a cup of mayonnaise and a cup of mustard that I can just dip it all in. But I was only able to put 4 patties down. Still we're saying that's 2 pounds of meat.
Yeah, I'm feeling that's probably not healthy.
No. Come to find out, I didn't eat a burger. I didn't eat a burger again for like 6 months. It was tough.
So you mean like 32 ounces of red meat isn't good for you?
No, I mean, and it got to the point where I could have ate more food because I had prepped my body, but I couldn't taste the monotony of chewing hamburger. But either way, Bugman's challenge. We need to Americanize it. Yeah. Eat 2 or don't eat any. And
I could have sent you guys the analytics, because I've been slinging Next Level Painting t-shirts on Twitch, and a lot of my viewers are international. I basically know exactly where I'm sending these shirts based on size. All my mediums go to the UK. All my 3XLs go to the US. Except for this. Okay, except for one exception. 4XL goes to the UK for Apothis UK.
But that high fructose corn syrup, man, it's killing us. That's what it is.
Yep.
U.S. America.
So what's our friendly upstairs neighbors, the Canadians, the tiny Canadians? What's their excuse? How are they so small? Do they eat the same way?
No, they don't.
They go to the doctor. They also get to go to the doctor regularly.
Yeah, and they don't have high fructose corn syrup in everything they eat.
Their FDA is legit.
Heck, even Mexico uses real sugar and Coke instead of high fructose corn syrup.
And corn comes in Mexico. They're all about corn.
I believe Coca-Cola tastes different. Seriously.
I think it's the actual cocaine they put in it, though.
Could be.
All right, so David, that was for you.
David, you can.
Now we can transition.
Now you can turn off the podcast, David, and Rob.
You're not gonna want anything else from this, I suppose. Well, on the tabletop market watch front, I feel like it's if you're a 40K fan, we don't have much for you. But if you're into some other games like Blood Bowl or this Age of Sigmar thing, we got you covered.
Did you say Age of Sigmar?
That might be what you heard.
Oh, okay. Word.
But there is some aids we're going to talk about here in a minute too. So the Stormcast have a new release coming out next week. The Vanguard Raptors. Those sound like they're the crazy rider guys, but they're actually not. They're the shooty shoot guys with the little flip down bipod monopod for their crossbows because they're so huge. Obviously from America, the America realms.
When did the Chocobos come out?
Chocobos are out this week.
Oh, nice. I need to pick some up.
Called? The Lord Aquilor and the Vanguard Paladors will be out this week.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna call them Chocobos.
Yeah, I think so. We got battle. So the Stormcast have Battle Cats and Chocobos. How cool is that? I think
that works.
So, and also this week is Slambo, that crazy, or next week rather, for the new releases, that crazy miniature out of the 80s that they recreated in. And get this, he's Finecast, right? But they don't say Finecast. They keep saying it's like resin and like all this stuff. Like they never mention Finecast anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, isn't that done? Aren't they done with that, Robbie B?
I don't know. I mean, this is literally Finecast. It's the same material, but they don't say Finecast. They say resin.
Huh.
Like if you read their website, it says a finely crafted resin miniature.
Yeah, I feel like it was a decent solution, when they were trying to get off metal and everything, but
finely crafted resin.
But it's just too light. That's the main thing I don't like about Finecast is it's too light. It doesn't feel right.
And I feel like it's hard to work with. Like,
but Finecast was their special system for like casting resin in old metal molds, right?
Yeah, in old metal molds. Yeah, it was.
So that's not their standard resin system though for new resin shit, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, it is. Like the Canon S model was Finecast.
Oh, you're right. And that was a new model. Yeah, you're right.
And that resin, it's not. The resin is so the weird thing about that resin is like you said, it's light. Where it's also. I noticed it's like a little bit more resistant to like heat correction.
It is. It's and it warps something terribly.
It's like, so I noticed it's not brittle, right? So it's not like hard resin that's brittle, but everything that makes it not brittle makes it resistance to minor fixes, like a sword's bent. Well, you're not straightening that sword out. Mm-mm. You can heat it up, you can straighten it out, you can snap it back in with cold water, and then in like 3 days it's bent again. So that's the problem I have with that Finecast.
And if you leave it in front of like a hot heat source, it's not
optimized. I don't know why they use it. It's not like resin is all that expensive.
I mean, the models they got better at casting them. Obviously, there's not miscast, and you don't hear about just use liquid green stuff, but because they're actually designing the molds to utilize this stuff in this process. But the I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Like, I don't know why they keep doing it. He is $25 for the miniature, so maybe it's a price point consideration. Maybe it is enough pieces. I don't know until I get my hands on it. Not sure, but it's interesting. And he's got rules too. We'll talk about those later in the show. But it's a blast from the past. If it tickles your hobby pickle, then go for it. It doesn't particularly tickle mine, so I'm not down with the Slambo. I think I would just convert up my own.
I have a pickle. I have a pickle. Hey,
Haspil, pickles don't have any calories.
Yeah, they don't. They're freaking awesome, man. Especially if you're going keto, you can eat like all pickles all day, man.
I eat about 5. I eat 5 at once.
Can we have the Longmore pickle challenge?
You got to go to Costco, buy the $4 pickle jar, which turns out to be a lot of damn pickles, and eat the whole thing.
Kenny, now, just to make sure you're eating just pickles, you're not eating the pickled peppers that are inside of the
that was one time
juice anymore.
When I say that was one time, that was every time I've ever bought those. But I stopped buying them. The Texas Pete's pepper sauce, which is basically just actual Tabasco peppers in vinegar and salt water. And then you open the lid and all you're doing is putting the vinegar juice on your food.
And you got a good for $2.50, $2.50, you get 11 splashes.
Yeah, it's not much. And so that infuriated me because I went through all 11 splashes in the first like meal. And so then I just opened it and just started like eating the Tabasco peppers like candy. Because they're delicious, right? They've been in like a vinegar solution. They're salty. Yep. And so I was like, this is what's up. And my God. And I love spicy shit, right? And so it wasn't that it was definitely insanely hot. Don't get me wrong. Like, and at first I was like, why is it so hot? It's just Tabasco. Then I like went online to like Wikipedia, looked at the Scoville chart and was like, damn, Tabasco is like a Tabasco pepper is like literally 100 times hotter than jalapeno.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
especially pickled.
I was like, that makes sense. And so like, but I was able to handle the heat, right? I was able to handle the heat because I'm experienced hot, sauce eater. But what I could not handle was the holes it was burning in my guts.
The backlash. And I swear to God, so the next time I bought it, I was like, I'm not going to eat the fucking Tabascos. Instead, what I did was I just like bought distilled vinegar at the same time for 80 cents and just kept filling this container back up with distilled vinegar. I was like, yo, literally, I would just pour salt in there and distilled vinegar back in there when I was done, put it in the fridge. The next day it was pepper sauce again. Right? I did that for like 9 weeks. And then finally I was out of distilled vinegar. I was like, well, I'm just going to eat these Tabascos, I guess. I've learned.
My God, it was twice as bad.
Nice.
After about 2 years of that, I just Bonet doesn't let me buy them anymore.
Yeah, after 2 years of I ate all the peppers. Insides are literally pooping out blood now. I'm never going to do that again. 16 hours later, you're at the grocery store.
I need this now.
I called Bonet. I was like, don't forget that Texas Pete pepper sauce. She's like,
no, baby, I'm not going to eat all the peppers this time. I've learned my lesson. Mm-hmm. 45 minutes later.
It got so bad that like she would bring me a salad and I would go into the fridge and like grab like 4 Tabascos and throw it on the salad.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
It became a problem.
The ones for me are giardiniera peppers, and those of you from Chicago will know what I'm talking about. But I got a special order them because they don't have them in Chicago or in Colorado.
So, we got to get those when we go there this year. I want to try them.
Do.
Hot giardiniera peppers, man. That's the heat right there. They're perfect.
The literal heat.
I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I don't have any smell buds.
You can't smell, so hot things aren't that hot to you, or is that what you're saying? Or
yes.
I mean, I just feel like this is just stemming one story after another. So lastly, we talked about Kenny and Peppers. So Robbie B and I think it was 2 years ago, going into Adepticon. We're getting in late. Maybe it was this past year. No, it was 2 years. So we're driving, and I've heard about this room at Adepticon where it's like smells beautiful. There's like, it's the foyer, I would say, going into the hotel. Well, I didn't get into the hotel that way the first time, whatever. So I was like, what unicorn of room are you guys talking about? Like with all the flowers and shit. They're like, yeah, the room with nothing in it but flowers that you got to walk through. I was like, dog, they must have just let me in the back because I didn't see that shit. So either way we go, and like halfway through the trip, Robbie B and I are standing next to each other and we're walking. I was like, Robbie B, let's go in this room. Sure as shit, it's the flower room. And I was like, holy God, they're right. This smells amazing. Doesn't it, Rob? And he looked at me, and I was like, with this like look of disgust, and I was like, oh yeah, word, this room smells like shit. Let's go, because Robbie B can't smell.
I'm not even a real person.
Classic Rob Baer disabilities.
Yeah, shit. Sorry.
Kenny keeps forgetting that when we go on trips. He tries to like out fart me in the car.
Like I just will rip one and be like, he's gonna hate me in 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes later, and my eyes are watering, and the car smells like feces. I'm like, God damn it! He's like, what are you giggling about? I was like, oh yeah, shit.
You did it again, didn't you?
So wait a second, Kenny. You've been sitting over there smelling your own shit, waiting to like stink bomb Rob. Yeah. He's just derpa driving, not oblivious to everything.
Oh yeah, like if we go through a toll plaza, that lady would comment. It was bad. So not to get okay, David, that was another one for you.
Yeah, that's for you, David.
David
dedicated to David.
He's never gonna hear this, so we have to put in the intro like, David, you can listen for the first 10 minutes. Skip.
But then fast forward.
Yeah. Fast forward.
Before we get to the game aids, I just wanted to throw this out that we do have a new computer game out. It's going to run you, I want to say $10, maybe $11 on Steam. It is Warhammer 40K Space Wolf. And this was a game that was out on iOS and maybe Android, I think, for about a year now. It has a card-based mechanic. It is, so you basically outfit your guys with like a card, a hand of cards. You can make a deck for each class, like Terminator class or Tactical Marine or Scout or whatever. You make a deck for that class, and then you play out how many cards you get, like 5 cards, and that's what you get to use. And it's a turn-based mechanic, and it's a lot of fun. On the iOS, I played it for a little while. It was free to play on the iOS, but it had 1 billion microtransactions, and that kind of killed it for me. On Steam, right now it's in early access, so I don't know if they're going to bring back the microtransactions, but it seems like it does not have it. It seems like you just like bought the game and you get resources by solving the missions, and I'm loving it. I am adoring it. They just put out the first patch to make a couple of the missions a little easier, I guess, because some busters were having trouble with it. I'm like, get good. It's easier than XCOM. So I feel like, but I'm liking it. If you like turn-based tactical games, give it a peep. It is in early access right now on Steam, and it is $10.19. I'm looking at it right now. So that's something to look at.
That's less money than I spent in the arcade today.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty cheap, and by supporting it, you encourage them to make more games in that IP. I buy every 40K game. Some of them are good, some of them are not. This one falls into the good category. So, and it does have multiplayer. So, in case you guys are into the PvP, it does have that.
Which I am.
Yeah.
My favorite part.
Also, Total War is on sale, I think, till the 15th. Wait, the 15th? No, it should be on sale for a couple more days, I think, for like $12 on the Humble Bundle.
Warhammer Total War?
Yeah, it's like 12. I want to say it's like $12.99 instead of like 60.
Oh my God, dude. If you guys do not have Warhammer Total War and your machine can run it, you need to buy that game. You need to buy it. It is the closest you will probably ever get to playing like a huge style miniatures war game on the, it has that tabletop feel, even though it is not turn-based. It is real time, but you get the feel of moving massive armies.
Very robust. Like, it's very robust.
It looks, I mean, it is like the Vargoyfs walking around like the Sylvanieth, whatever the vampire place is, the cobblestone streets with like the wrought iron fences and like the creepy like wilted trees, and all of that is there. It's just the graphics are just amazing. It's really dope. Seriously good.
Steers back on course. I have one question for Rob.
Yes.
AIDS?
Yeah, let me finish up this. Let me pull it up real quick on the site. So real quick, the last couple of releases, Reexland Reavers, Blood Bowl Plastic Team, $35, and a Blood Bowl Ogre will be out next week as well for $18. Now, this week, or just came out last week, was finally, they listened to me and Haspil, and at least 2 or 3 other people, and they put out what they call, what are these called? War Scroll Cards, Stormcast Eternals. And this is a pack of, I think it's 31 or 36 of the War Scrolls for Age of Sigmar. But unfortunately, these things are roughly the size. If you take a sheet of paper and you cut it in half, that's about approximately how big they are.
Yeah, they are massive. They're huge.
Which is fine if they took up the whole space. So imagine, have that visual in your head, and then when you look at the card itself, on one half of the card, there's the stats and all the abilities, and on the other half of the card, it is literally blank, no graphic.
Legitimately, 60% of the surface area of the card is negative space.
Yeah.
It's just imagine 1.5 DVD cases that a standard DVD comes in.
It is not a card, basically.
No, it's like literally half a sheet of paper almost.
It's a poster practically. Like
it's, and
you know what it is? It's like the posters you get in magazines. That's like 2 poster pages that you fold out and tear it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You put it up on your wall. That's exactly what it is.
It's like that big. And the best part, it's like, this is classic, Rob. I mean, Haspil. You go ahead and you write something, but you don't own it. And then you send it into the publisher, and then what you get back is garbage. This is what happened to Haspil here. Like he literally, this is his idea. He wrote it down craftily on a piece of paper, had it handed to the GW staff by a good friend of ours named Ashley. This is all happened. They took the idea. They said, this is genius, but we can't credit you because we own it, Haspil, just so you know. So you're an uncredited author. And then what they put out is something that Haspil doesn't want credit for anyway.
I feel like they might have had those in production before I handed them the note, but yeah, it's just I had in my head, I had something about the size of Magic, of standard card size that had a picture of the unit and then the war scroll on it, and they could use the front and the back, and you could sleeve it. You could sleeve it in like a regular Magic thing. At the most, I thought it would be like the Silver Tower size cards or the size of like Psychic Power cards. You know what I mean? At the largest. And then when I picked them up from the FLGS, from the Haven, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, these things are so huge. And then when I opened them up, I went, well, half the card is not even used. Like if they had cut the card sideways, they'd be tarot sized. So it's like literally 2 tarot size cards stuck together, and one of them is blank. That's what they delivered. And
it's like, hey dog, why did you glue this blank tarot card to your tarot card?
But it's still salvageable. I mean, I feel like what I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to have them laminated, and then you could dry erase right on top of them. But I felt like there needed to be a picture of the unit. That would have been nice.
Something,
on there. So, it is the first batch of cards. Maybe with the next army they come out with, though, they'll course correct a little bit. I still like the idea of being able to assemble my army with cards, just going, hey, I'm going to grab, this is my war scroll, and I need a squad of liberators, and I need some, adjudicators, and I need a guy on, a chocobo, and you just lay out the cards, and then you've got your army right there, and all the rules for them. I love that idea. So I'm thankful for GW for putting those out. I just think that it could have been better executed. So.
Right. I agree with you there too. But it definitely could have been better exexecuted. I think the price point is fine.
Webcast, Rob, was you were like, yo, these Silver Tower cards, GW made these. It's not like we're like saying, hey, go make something that these guys make. No, like you literally already made the perfect cards.
Right. The Silver Tower card pack is exactly the correct size. It could hold the right amount of information. And it was the same price point. Like they were both like $25.
And it's not like they put like a size 18 font on those cards. It's like a straight 8. It's tiny.
That's what's so infuriating about it. I literally have to squint to read this as much as I would have to squint to read the war scrolls on my phone. And I was just like, well, this pretty much, I don't want to be overly negative about it.
Super glad I paid for
innovation. But it's extremely frustrating when you think about how much more awesome it could be given the resources. It sucks
because they're more convenient than your phone, right? But only slightly.
Only slightly. Like there's a website out there somebody put in the Discord, and I haven't been able to get it to load. It was something ageofwargamers.com/Age of Sigmar unit cards, and it keeps like not opening. And every Google search, that's why I've been back here clicking around looking for it.
Because everyone's clicking on it.
Yeah, every Google search I do looking for it, it goes back to the main page, unfortunately, and well, it's not loading. So,
hey guys, have you heard of Elric's Hobbies?
I have. They also have game aids.
Speaking of game aids and who has the biggest aids, Elric's Hobbies, you guys have heard us talk about these guys. They are literally the shit. They're an official sponsor of the Long War. You can get a discount code from them by signing up for your free trial on thelongwar.net. But there's some exciting shit. First off, we're going to Adepticon, and we talk about Adepticon every episode. We'll be there in a month. Elric's Hobbies is literally putting their gear in everyone's hands at Adepticon. That's just like how they roll. But additionally, they just dropped a whole bunch of new stuff. They got Elric's dice. About time. I've been waiting for that. But here's what I'm super excited about. They got a Kings of War base cutout, MDF. Everything's MDF now. Kings of War is an insanely popular game right now. People are loving it. They also got a MDF paintbrush holder, which is phenomenal. Like you'll literally,
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to pick up one of those. Definitely.
It's so legendary. But here's like the heat. So they had this game tracker that you may have seen Juice Vanna White for us during a few episodes of the Long War Battle Reports. I mean, like,
I literally don't go anywhere without it. I've actually had more people at tournaments. I was actually at one of my boys' house that I love playing games at. There's like 11 of us over there. We had 4 games going on simultaneously. And I'm pulling my shit out, getting ready to start with my WarCon. And they're like, dude, what is that? I was like, first off, have you not seen or understand how fucking clutch this is? Like it is above and beyond the best single thing that I've ever bought that I ever bring to the table, shy of my tape measuring dice.
That's why that's
single best thing I've ever brought to the table.
Game tracker is the best word for it because you can use it for anything. You can use it to track your canticles, your doctrines. You can use it to track Maelstrom, what turn you're on, what the score is. And here's the best part: it's MDF now, but it's like finished. It looks like the steering wheel in a Cadillac. You are gripping grain with this new MDF version.
Yo, I literally can't wait to get one of those because I guess we would have to say now the one I have is currently the old and busted.
You have old busted. This is the new hotness.
I am down to get the new hotness because this one has been, I'm not even going to call it busted, Old Faithful. She's been doing me good for a while now. So I'm here to tell you, I will not endorse something if I don't believe it's that good. I'll just kind of sit and be quiet, but I cannot be quiet on this because this shit is for real. It's got dials. It keeps up with kill points. It's not just like one of those turn counters or whatever. It's a turn counter. It keeps up with kill points. It's got 6 slots for cards. You know, you can put whatever you want. It's clutch.
Psychic Powers, Maelstrom, anything.
You ready for this pro tip that I've learned? Right? So let's say you've got like that orbital strike, right? Or like, let's say you have that it will not die or that whatever that you always forget, right? At the beginning and end of every one of my turns, I go to my turn counter. You know, I go to my Elric's Hobby in game 8 and beginning of every turn, at the end of every turn. So guess what I do now? I literally put a large colored dice. You know, I have gems or anything else, and I literally sit them on top of my my turn counter, my game counter. And every time at the beginning of the game or turn and at the end, I see those counters on that thing, and immediately it will not die roll. You know, this and this because it's just a focal
created
point.
like a mental space for yourself.
Yes.
That means this is some weird thing you need to remember.
Yes.
Definitely the iciest game aids in the business. But anyway, let's hit this commercial break, guys, and then let's talk about some meat and potatoes.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
elricshobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elric's Hobbies. elricshobbies.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at dicehead.com have rewarded us all with an extra 6% discount on all dicehead.com merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
And we're back. Rob?
Hi. I can eat meat and potatoes. They are gluten-free. I love them. They are delicious. So, Age of Sigmar, we had a special guest on last week. I think it was last week. I'm pretty sure it was last week. Final answer. And his name was Andrew, and he won the LVO on the Age of Sigmar side. The biggest Age of Sigmar tournament ever in the history of ever. Well, it turns out that now, that list he played, I want to say illegal, but it's not true. He didn't do anything wrong. There's no wrongdoing.
It doesn't exist. It's not even
doesn't
out of
exist
reality.
anymore.
Saying it's no longer legal is not even the right word.
Right.
That's like it's literally a non-existent. It doesn't exist.
So between them nerfing one of the abilities that we talked about, and I know Juice definitely had a lot to say about it, where you could teleport him and his unit within 3 inches of another enemy, and all the enemies within, I think it was 6 inches, took D3 mortal wounds. That ability has been removed, both in the ability to jump them in with that close, and just the whole doing D3 mortal wounds is gone. The end period. He can jump them in with within 6 now, but I think it's 6. Let me double check. But no, 9. It's 9. So that has been removed. And then also the formation that he was really excited about, or excuse me, the battalion that he was really excited about with the Realm Gate as part of it. And then you could re-roll the saves to get that Death Star save. That actually has been removed too.
Oh, wow.
It does not exist anymore. But here's the curious thing, and we can debate this because there's a couple different ways to look at it. So because it is not in the Stormcast battalion book, right? It's no longer in here as a battle tome, as a battalion that you can take. Does that mean it still has points in the General's Handbook and it's still on the app?
But aren't they making a new book? Isn't there like a new General's Handbook?
They are making a new General's Handbook. So the question is, will it have points in that? It does not. It is not in this book. This book actually has the points in the back of the book. And Guardians of it is not in here. So it is not in this book. It does not have points in this book, but it is in the General's Handbook 1. So the question is, are we going to something that is a living rule set, or where do we, I guess my question is, and we can debate this a little bit, where's the flow chart about, are we living rule set in the app format?
Yeah, I would say if it's still in the app, you can still use it.
Now, I don't know because I cannot get my app to reset and download the new stuff for the new Age of Sigmar stuff. I've been having a terrible time redoing it. You have to go in and you have to click restore purchases, and then it redoes the whole thing, but it just doesn't want to work for me. So I can't say for sure at this point, but mine is still in there as of last week.
Give me a second. I'm going to try to do it on mine.
I would easily say that you are not allowed to do it. Whatever the new rule set comes out takes precedent. They're obviously going to go through. There's a reason why Stormcast has already gotten a new book. Okay, since the new points came out, you can tell that they're obviously trying to put things maybe in perspective. But either way, I would like to touch on the fact that I am excited about this for Andrew. I'm excited because if GW is forcing one of the smartest, I would say he's in one of the smartest Age of Sigmar minds in the United States, and it's going to force him to come up with the new tech. He literally went through every book, every piece of literature there is to create this unreal list. So I cannot wait to see, and I'm sure the second this is dropped, he's already been in his Beats lab. He's already been trying to land new foundation, new tracks on a new list. So sooner than later, we're going to have to get him on, and we're going to have to do a follow-up, find out his thoughts on this, and potentially what is brewing in said studio.
Well, here is a quick update to what Rob was talking about. So I just opened up my app, and it did update on my iPad. And under Battle Tomes, it says Battle Tome Stormcast Eternals, which is the old one, the original one. It says unavailable. And under the Battle Tome Stormcast Extremis, it also says unavailable. The only Battle Tome for Stormcast Eternals that is available is the new one. So I feel like that is gone. You know, that formation no longer exists.
That's crazy. So here's like my initial gut right now is like, this is dope, because this is a lot like what War Machine and like Magic does to keep their systems fresh and competitive is, you know, season-based rebalances, right? GW has never done that for us in 40K. They don't balance things. They've never come in and said, "Oh, Eldar, we need to nerf some shit." You know, when people were complaining about wave serpents, the new book came out. The wave serpents are only marginally less effective, but everything else in the codex is so much more effective. People just stopped taking wave serpents. That's GW. Yeah. That's how GW fixes problems, right? So now they didn't do that with. Are they trying to push Age of Sigmar as like a tournament system, like something that is worthy of like rebalances and adjustments?
Yeah, I don't think they're pushing it as a tournament system less necessarily. I just think that the Stormcast needed a course correction, and they did.
But they've never done that. They've never course corrected shit for us, man.
That's true. And here's the big
with AOS, because you don't need to put out a whole codex. You can the rules are free.
So what that says to me is that GW would love to be that type of company, which is why they're back in the tournament scene. They're over here in the United States, checking out the biggest tournaments in the country. I feel like that is something they want to be a part of. And since Age of Sigmar is not bloated because it's new, I think from the beginning, they're going to keep it trim. They're going to keep the waistline slim, where 40K, there's no coming back from that.
Now, this is an interesting perspective, because this kind of goes along with my two things. I kind of roughly prophesized this for 40K back in 2014 when I saw the bloat, and I'm like, well, they're just going to have to come out with a second edition book for each codex and slim it down. And their managers meeting, the managers that came out of this meeting in Dallas, Texas recently, those guys were like, hey, they didn't tell these guys much, if anything, about a new rule set. So I'm almost wondering if the air quotes new rule set is just something like this for each faction. Right? Because
I think GW, I think they just revealed their hand. I think this is what they want. I think they want to be a real boy now, because all the other game, because they're old school, right? Fantasy Flight, new school, rebalances, updates, point fixes. They literally are the first. They're going to be the first $1 billion fucking miniature company, and they've already beaten GW out. So that's how the new school does. People, no matter how competitive they are, want to know they're playing the right game. They want to know that
does too.
And Magic, who's like obviously in a different category
of
money, has been doing that since the beginning. I think GB wants to play that game, and I think they just revealed that to us.
And it becomes infinitely easier when all the rules, like in AOS, are war scrolls. And so if you just need to update one unit, you know what I mean? If you're just updating war scrolls and a general's handbook, it becomes super easy, because you're like, hey, wave serpents are broken. Use that for an example. Wave serpents are broken. Instead of putting out an entire Eldar codex, we literally just put out a new wave serpent, data scroll or war scroll or whatever they want to call them, data slate. And then you just rebalance it in a general's handbook that they're going to sell to everybody for not that much money. I mean, the general's handbook was like $25. It wasn't. I mean, there are miniatures that cost more than the general handbook. So
I'd like to say two things. Like, Haspil, I agree with that. Is like, do you think was there a little foreshadowing on GW's aspect of why the general? Has anybody ever asked why in the hell is the general's handbook that thick, that good in graphics, that everything else is $25? Did they think to themselves, like, look, we don't want to piss everybody off because we're literally about to have to drop a new one of these every 18 months, and they're not going to want that. If you're going to go digital and have paperback, the paperback has to keep up. It's got to leapfrog at least a little bit. So yeah. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. But I also, guys, I don't know if GW. I think GW has obvious favorites. I think it's blatant obvious that Eldar, there's no reason under any grand scheme of anything that Yennead book should have just came out for Eldar. They have got so much fucking stuff. They've got so many releases. Tell me why the Necrons haven't gotten any love, how the Orcs haven't gotten any love. You know what I mean? Like, there's other books that haven't gotten anything. But the poster child, the ones that I would say even maybe spend the most money, Eldar, right? It's literally their shit. People love elves, people everything else, right? So also Stormcast Eternal. Why on earth would Stormcast Eternal need to get this is just their brand new army that they just introduced. There's armies like the Skaven. We haven't seen any books. We don't know it. I actually, I'll talk about how I played a game last week on the cuff of having that conversation with Andrew on Wednesday night. The next day I played, and the list that I played against was unreal. But then I realized, I was like, oh, well, even they had a new book. Where I'm literally still rolling out of my phone and out of the player's handbook, the general's handbook. So, I mean, GW obviously has babies that they love taking care of, so maybe we're just seeing, and I don't want to say,
but they didn't take care of it like the normal way. They balanced it. Like, well,
and
that's true. But
Eldar and Space Marines, they'd always get better.
Sure. And now I will say this, I am not as versed. I wish Andrew was actually on the show right now, because he could tell us immediately probably, oh, I see 7 broken things in this book with the combos and how the grand scheme of Age of Sigmar works, and his competitive Age of Sigmar brain could immediately look and see things where we're just highlighting where.
Great counterpoint. We might just be so AOS dumb that we don't realize it's better.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I just know that GW is not guaranteed, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm literally just speaking of what I think instead of any kind of hindsight. So I'm kind of putting myself out, but there is no way in my mind that they have made one of their poster childs of Age of Sigmar that has, all the reign in the world of Stormcast Eternals, that they would make them bad.
No. And I think there's a lot of things in play here. So real quick, let me just summarize what's going on with the new book. So the new book is following the Zinch format. It has the pitch battle profiles. That's the point in the back of the book itself, summarized, not as part of the war scrolls themselves. It also contains now multiple battalions, where the first book and the second book that Mike named off had a whole bunch of battalions. They've combined those. They tweaked the rules a little bit. The mechanics work differently when it comes to just being able to just deploy them on the board within 9 inches of the opponent, or more than 9 inches away. There's 2 big changes. The models that used to allow you to pick up your models and teleport them in front of other models within 9 inches have now been changed significantly. And those, as far as I can see, are the big things that's changed here. But Juice's point he brought up, there is no reason why Games Workshop couldn't go this summer and besides, we know they're going to put out a new general's handbook. We talked about it. I kind of made some fun of their post about looking at the timeline of the pictures and their day worth of play testing and such. I'm sure they did more work than it appeared to be. But here's the thing is, they can put out a new general's handbook every month, almost like an annual, with any points changes. You can change all the points to every army in the game in one volume. Imagine if they did that for 40K. Imagine if they said, okay, well, here's the abilities, here's the Tyranid special abilities, here's how each one of these rules has just changed now. These 4 rules, like Synapse is now this, Shadows in the Warp is now this, blah, 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 blah. And you put that in one little section for each faction, and then you put a huge, points category, what troop points are, your fast attack points, your heavy support points, et cetera, and they can put that out every once a year, just like the General's Handbook. Imagine if they did that, and that was their living rule set, their air quotes rules, big 8th edition rules change.
Yeah, I feel like they could even call it the War Master's Handbook.
They literally could.
I see what you did there. But I would like to say we've been kind of going with when 7th edition came out, that this kind of was their idea, and then maybe we don't see any other editions, and then after LVO, some people really think in the rumor mill of a new book coming out. I don't believe that we're going to see one. I truly don't believe that we're going to see an 8th edition. If it is, it's going to be a long time. They have put, in my mind, too much effort into these FAQs that they never do. And if they were just going to FAQ, if they were going to make a new rule set, why on earth would they spend so much time and effort and get community feedback just to change it?
I don't know. I mean, they've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of research. They have all this stuff, and now they're just putting out new supplement after supplement, which everything includes points in there and includes new abilities and includes new formations. There has to be some way to take that all that information when it comes to points and special abilities and put it in a volume that would perhaps override it or supplement it. And just like you said, it's the same thing. They sold it for $25 because maybe they know that every year you might have to buy one, or maybe they know that every player, no matter what faction they play, is going to have to buy one of these books. It's the same reason that they sell, like, for instance, the new Chocobos, you know, to borrow a word from Mike, that are coming out this week for the Stormcast Eternals. The squad of 3 Chocobos is $60 because they know you're going to need multiple squads of these guys, right? But the Lord on Chocobo is $40 because you only ever need one of him. So these other dudes, same models, they're like basically $20 each, but the Lord on Chocobo is 40. That's how they can do it, because they know that everybody's going to buy multiple, so you can't price yourself out. There is some rhyme to the reason, believe it or not, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, hey, I would like to tell everybody about a game I played. It's a little game called AOS. And it's kind of pertinent to this conversation because after recording last week with Andrew, it was just as really shown. I was like, wow, I guess I never took Age of Sigmar serious. Would that be like pretty much across the board? Would you guys agree with that? Like, hey, this is a fun game. This is cute. You know, I've got some models.
That's how I felt about it all the way up until about 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool. Like I've got this unit, it does this, and I'm just gonna run up and I'm gonna hit you, and not really worry with the magic phase, not really worry about auras too much, and just kind of do my thing, right? So that's how I've approached Age of Sigmar. So either way, my buddy, great friend of the show, Lucas, he has been taking the Andrew approach, right? Who just won LVO Age of Sigmar, and when Andrew was telling me his list, my mind was being blown. Like I almost couldn't interact with him talking last week because I was like, I couldn't imagine if I sat across from that. Wow. I literally couldn't do anything against that. You know, that's what's going on in my mind just because of the stacked auras. Like I've seen combos like this for years now in 40K. Never have I thought about it in Age of Sigmar. So, and with the battle reports and stuff we've done, it's been more tamed down, more numbed, to this brokenness, right? Just because of our own ignorances, So we play. I bring the beer, show up to my buddy Luke's house, and he's got this list that he has been so pumped about. And I'm like, word. I took Kenny's advice. What we've been talking about on the show is like, word. What do we know about the Skaven? Storm vermin. They're good. Take them. So I did. I took 60 of them. 3 squads of 20. I took a Storm Vermin, the Warbringer, my Vermin Lord, with a Hell Pit Abomination and 6 Giselles for all the range. I was like, that's all I need. I'll pull 6 triggers and try to do some mortal wounds, maybe just a little bit from range, and then everything else in close combat. That literally, the game is over. I've already won it. Little did I know. So we roll to see who goes first, and Luke goes first. He wins the roll. I'm like, cool, no doubt. I kind of deployed my models. I'm good. He is proceeding to string words together in sentences and use auras and everything. I have no idea. I literally am just drinking beer. I'm like, all right, man. All right. Does any of that stop me from moving these 60 models into midboard and smashing you? No, it doesn't.
I like your
okay.
Explanation here.
That's it. No, it doesn't. All right. Got it. You don't put up an invisible force wall. Got it. So here we go. He's doing his psychic phase. Is this guy is allowing me to manipulate one roll up and down. This guy is allowing me to hit you on +1s. This little guy over here. I mean, it was just like, he had been prepping for this, right? Like it's one of those like Warcon lists. Like at the beginning of the turn, I have to do these. I have to declare this. At this phase, I have to do. You can tell this list is legit. I'm starting to get more and more respect for it as the time goes on. Well, then it's 4. This is the legendary. What is the name of this army again, Robbie B? So I don't butcher it. The
Seraphons?
Seraphons, the old lizardmen, right?
Yes.
So the gist of this, one of the major heavy hitters to this is they have the ability to, with stacked psychic abilities and special characters and whatnot, they can re-roll dice, right? They can get X amount of dice as re-roll and blah, blah. Well, the main ability is you pick up 4 dice because of the independent characters and stuff you have, and you roll those 4 dice. If you pick up 3 6s out of 4 dice with re-rolls, you can re-roll anything you need. 3 6s, you get an extra turn at the end of your turn. So go through your entire turn, and then it's not my turn and you get a free one. It's literally run through your entire turn and then start all back over again. Well, he's also figured out this cool dude that allows you to manipulate a dice roll each phase, every turn, my turn, his turn, until the start of the next. I was like, that's unreal. It reminds me of a Necron guy that allowed you to do stuff every phase. Like, it was unreal. So he's really only needs to get 2 6s and a 5 on 4 dice with rerolls. Seems pretty good. So obviously everybody knows what I'm leading up to. The first roll of the game, the first roll, right hand to God, he picks up his 4 dice, 3 6s, no rerolls. Doesn't even need a 5. Picks up 3 6s. I was like, it's going to be a long day. Grabbed another beer. So he runs through his entire turn 1, does a bunch of mortal wounds, doing this and this, runs through his entire turn 2, really 1.5. Another shit ton of mortal wound, auras, arcane bolt, all this and this. He vapes literally so much of my army. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now it's my turn, right? My turn. He now tells me he's got combos just like Andrew. He's telling me his Stegodon in the middle of the table is a 2 of rerollable save that is basically unmodifiable the way that my build, my Skaven build is unmodifiable. So, okay, cannot interact with you. I know from math I would have to do 1 million wounds to do anything. All right, the Temple Guard next to him, he's got a 3-up save where they ignore Ren's 1 and 2. You got to do a Ren 2 to do anything to manipulate his roll of a 3. I was like, I don't have that either because all my Storm Vermin have -1. So I'm like, all right, so they're basically unkillable as well. This was an unreal fight. I go my turn 1. I do the best I can, bang down a couple models, put myself in positions, and then we go to roll off to see who goes first. If I could get another round of shooting this and this, try to get rid of that one guy that allows reroll saves, didn't happen. He won the roll to go first. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care even if at that point in time I knew it didn't matter what list I brought. If your opponent gets 3 turns and you only get 1, that's game.
That is mostly all the time, every time game.
3-1. By the end of his turn 3, that was really turn 2, he had completed 3 full turns to my 1.
Yeah, there ain't no coming back from that.
So it was unreal, guys. Like, I want you to know, I just laughed. I was sitting back there. He's like, man, we're actually having a lot of fun. We're laughing and joking. I was like, dude, look, I have come over here and now I know how you feel when he's like, kind of like Mike Haspil wants to be competitive and stuff like that, but he's got like these units that no matter if they suck or not, he's going to play them because that's his jam. Like, this model is awesome. I painted him the best, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, dude, heck yeah, do you? I just really want to get some test games in with this army. Okay, cool. And then it's like, oh, I went turn 1, and then now we can stop and try this again. Like, I now understand, Luke, how it feels to be you when I bring my 40K army and you play yours. So I'm going to take this ass whooping. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to drink my beer, and we're going to have a good time. But I now see Age of Sigmar in a different light. This is not just some little game that, people don't take serious. There is some cool ass combos. And I, for one, have already started making changes and acquiring models to make my Skaven army very competitive. So I love it because that's what gets me going is my competitive side. So I love the fact now that I see that game in that kind of light.
Yeah, and I think that's that's a really great story for a lot of us. I'm starting to see it too with my Beast Claw Raiders. Like, they're great and all, but need to make some changes and ally in some stuff in order to do some different things. So, Age of Sigmar, it's a dope game, and it looks like they're making really good strides to try to keep it just as dope as when the first General's Handbook dropped almost a year ago. Last summer, I believe. So it's good stuff there. So it's going to be curious what kind of direction they go next. But just know that if you play Stormcast, completely different. Don't know all the combos. Most of the units, as far as I can tell, the War Scrolls did not change besides the Knight Azeros and the Vexilla. But everything else looks to be pretty standard. And then they have a slew of new rules and new battalions and tweaked battalions. And, the Wardens of the Realm Gate is gone. Apparently, it doesn't exist anymore. It is died. But yeah, we should get Andrew on here in a couple of weeks. See what his thoughts are on the matter. I think for sure.
100%.
Yeah. I think that's. I don't know. I think that's about it for tonight. I think we made a lot of good points and even managed to splash some 40K in there and said enough stuff to keep David interested for sure. Because apparently it's the David Boucher podcast.
Just the David Boucher podcast.
Straight out of South Florida.
Have you seen that he's been leaking like things you didn't know about Kenny on the Long War Hobby Group?
On Wednesdays.
On the Long War Network?
Your first models with testers paint.
But the party was like, and also he listened to Limp Bizkit's Significant Other on repeat for 2 weeks on Christmas break in his Beats Lab the entire time.
May or may not have had Jinko jeans.
Because I got that CD for that Christmas. So like it was literally just on my little, stereo system because we had stereo systems back in those days,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just literally on repeat for fucking 2 weeks. This happened. That was a real story.
So crazy. And it wasn't that long ago. Oh well. They grow up so fast. You paint mostly better now.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I seen your stuff on YouTube. It's all right.
All it took was not using testers enamel.
Step one to getting good.
Like I was like literally that's how weak my hobby game was because we built like battleships and stuff, like submarines and shit, and like everything's enamel paint, solid coats, and enamel. And I was like, yo, I can hobby, I got this, and I'm an artist. Get out of here. I never even considered acrylic paints were being utilized to paint miniatures. So I was like,
on YouTube.
Straight up spray painted everything black, went in there with my gangster testers enamel, fire engine red, started paintbrushing that on my dark Eldar. I was like, this is going to be the shirt. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, it's literally shit.
This is literally, I called this. This is shit.
And then I was like, I can fix it. I can save it. And I pulled some enamel black and started painting cool little stripes and designs on them. Oh my God.
Did you get the whole artist thing going? Because it's not just your work is shit. That means you are shit.
I am shit. Yeah. I am. Yes, I am. I don't deserve
the whole artist. That's the whole artist progression. Is this is shit. Therefore, I am shit.
That's exactly how it went down.
Nice.
Brutal.
Nice.
All right. Well, Haspil, take us on out of here, and we'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
The mountain smoked beneath the moon. The dwarves, they heard the tramp of doom. They fled their hall to dying fall beneath his feet, beneath the moon.